What's up? Welcome in. Harrison Graham here from the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. And coming up on today's show, 5 wide receivers the Kansas City Chiefs could trade for this offseason. Maybe it's before the draft. Maybe it's after. Could just depend on the situation. Obviously, the Chiefs at wide receiver. I like the trio of Tony, MVS, or Sky Moore. But to me, you don't have a true number one. Doesn't mean you have to trade for a true number one, but I do want to throw that out there. And I would just like to add another guy to this group. I do think Justin Watson will be back in the fold, but I think adding someone else makes sense at some point this offseason. Maybe they draft a guy, but I do think there's some interesting names that could be available on the trade block. All right, guys, let's get to 42,000 subscribers by the NFL draft. We're currently at 41,202. Need 798 more. I've told you as well, if we get to 42,000 before the draft, we will do a live fan-led mock draft. So spread the word. Let's get to 42K. Then we'll do a live fan-led mock where you guys make all of the picks on a live mock draft. So let's make it happen. Go ahead and subscribe. All right, let's get to some Chiefs trade targets here. We'll first look here at DeAndre Hopkins, who remains available on the trade market. The Cardinals have even allowed him to communicate with other teams. But the bottom line is teams are not reaching the Cardinals' price per reports, which that initial price has been a second-round pick and then some. I'll be honest, I don't think a team will trade just a second-round pick for DeAndre Hopkins. Now, let me be clear. I am still very interested in the Cardinals wide receiver. 31's not too old for me. He would be an upgrade over Juju Smith-Schuster, who was your number one last year. And, hey, props to Juju. Had a great year. Got a decent little contract with New England. I got no beef issue with that whatsoever. But Hop, fully healthy, is simply a better player right now, and I think could be for the next few years. I know the last couple of years have not gone the way he's wanted them to, but it's not due to a lack of ability. Like, this isn't Allen Robinson falling off a cliff production-wise. Had some injury stuff in 21 and then had the suspension for 6 games to start 2022. Otherwise, if he played all 17 this year, he probably would have had 1,300 yards. So that's just the reality of that situation. Here's my updated trade idea. Last week, I did a 3rd-round pick. Now I'm dropping it to a 4th because there's reports out there that some teams believe that the Cardinals could just end up cutting bait with Hopkins. I'd still throw a 4th. Rework the contract. Hopkins may have to work with these teams a bit and take a bit of a pay cut, but, if he can control where he goes and Arizona still gets a draft pick, I think it makes sense. I would certainly pull the trigger on this trade if I was Brett Veach. Next up is, I'll admit, the ultimate go for broke out there idea. Stefon Diggs wiped his Instagram of Bills-related posts, which has led to some trade speculation. And then he really just added fuel to the fire of this tweet, "Come and rescue me." Now, it was on April 1st. April Fools, who knows? Him and Trayvon Diggs were having fun on social media, his brother. But he did express frustration after the Bills lost to the Bengals in the playoffs of why can't we get over the hump? Why can't we get this done? I don't understand. Maybe there is some frustration there for Stefon Diggs, who's just a stud player. I mean, look at these numbers. He's been unbelievable, especially the last 3 years joining Buffalo with Josh Allen. Obviously, I assume he could replicate that success with Patrick Mahomes. He's an unbelievable player. All of that being said, let's be honest and live in reality here. There is a less than 1% chance that the Buffalo Bills would trade Stefon Diggs to Kansas City. It's their biggest competition right now. The Chiefs are the team they can't get past, and everybody salivates the last couple of years. Oh, Buffalo won't beat Kansas City in the regular season. Yeah, they have not been able to do it in the playoffs, okay? They got embarrassed by Cincinnati in the playoffs this past year. Kansas City is the team to beat in the AFC, and if you're Buffalo, you cannot trade your top weapon to the Chiefs. I mean, you are just signaling your death wish there. You're done if you do that. So I don't think there's any scenario. Now, hey, if you're Brett Veach, there's no harm in making a phone call, right? You never know what a situation could be, but it would cost an arm and a leg, and I still think Buffalo would probably put up the bird to Brett Veach. How much would you trade to get Stefon Diggs? I mean, I would do the A.J. Brown trade, a 1st and a 3rd. I think Buffalo says F you, but hey, again, there's no harm in calling. Let's live in reality. I don't think there's any chance, but just thought I would mention it since there has been some speculation. Perhaps a more realistic option if a couple of dominoes fall a certain way. That's Darnell Mooney with the Chicago Bears. There's a lot of chatter right now that the Bears really like Jackson Smith-Njigba, the Ohio State wide receiver. If they draft him, that kind of creates a scenario where there could be an odd man out. Let me explain. You look at the depth chart in Chicago right now. DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool. Really solid trio on paper, right? Well, what if you add Jackson Smith-Njigba to that? Claypool or Mooney becomes your wide receiver 4, at least on paper. You're not drafting JSN in the first round to be a 4. You also have Velus Jones, who you drafted last year. Equinemius St. Brown, he's on a cheap deal, so you could cut him, but that's a player they like as well. I think Mooney or Claypool, as each are entering the final year of their rookie contract, would probably be on the trade block, and it could be Darnell Mooney because the Bears traded for Chase Claypool last offseason and may not be ready to move on from that already. Now, you look at Darnell Mooney's career, rookie year, solid as a fifth-round player. Second year, had a breakout year. Last year, started slow but was picking it up, and then he got hurt. He's a good player, and it is intriguing that his best season in 2021 was under Matt Nagy, who is now the Chiefs' offensive coordinator. He unseated Allen Robinson as the Bears' number 1 that year. Darnell Mooney did. So you've got that going on. A lot of things have to happen. Bears would probably have to take a receiver very early, like a JSN in the draft. But if they do not be surprised if Chicago shops either Darnell Mooney or Chase Claypool. Now, speaking of the NFL draft, do you love the NFL draft? If you do, subscribe to our draft-only YouTube channel today. The link is down below. It's youtube.com/chatnfl. More and more videos going up over there. I've put a couple of Chiefs draft videos up on that channel as well. Go check that out. If you're just a draft junkie and can't get enough mock draft rumors, news, prospect breakdowns, we do it all over there, youtube.com/chatnfl. Okay, let's go to the next receiver here. That is Mike Evans, who has just 1 year left on his contract. He's about 30 now, and the Bucs are kind of in a spot where they haven't committed to a full rebuild this offseason, but they've definitely been willing to move on from certain pieces, and maybe Mike Evans is a player where they're like, okay, we really like him. He's a damn good player, but he's 30 now, last year of his deal. Are we really going to assign him to another big deal? Maybe not, because their quarterback situation is muddy at best right now. You look at Evans' past 4 seasons, really consistent, right? He's pretty much 1,100 yards and like 10 touchdowns on average. That's kind of what he does. He's been really good. He's 6'5", 240. He can stretch the field vertically. Mahomes has never really played with a receiver like that is big, fast, and strong. And he's pretty cost-friendly. $14.5 million is his cap hit if you trade for him. You compare that to like Allen Robinson, who the Rams have been shopping, $15.25 million. Evans is a much better player right now than Allen Robinson. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So this is a type of move I'd be interested in. You might be able to get him without getting up a first, although I'd still probably consider trading 31 for him. Let's go to Brandon Aiyuk now, the last player that we're going to talk about when it comes to Chiefs wide receiver trade targets. The 49ers, according to reports, have taken calls about Aiyuk. He's got 2 years left on his rookie deal. We've talked about this in a couple other videos. And look, I'll just kind of reiterate what I've said on those videos here today. He's an underrated player, like really underrated. I don't think Aiyuk gets enough love when we talk about these great young receivers in the NFL. Now, I'm not saying he's Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase or something like that, but you look at his rise in San Francisco, and the guy just gets better every year, right? I mean, he had 768 and 5 touchdowns as a rook, 826 and 5 touchdowns in his second year, and this year, as a pure receiver, had a better season than his teammate Deebo Samuel. 78 catches, over 1,000 yards, and 8 touchdowns. He's a nasty route runner, consistently gets open. I would trade 31 for Aiyuk. And there's some real concern in San Francisco that, we may not be able to pay Aiyuk the type of contract he wants. Well, you could bring him in now if San Francisco is open to it, if you give them the right trade. 2 years left in his rookie deal, then you figure it out down the road if you want to extend him or not. But you would have him for 2 years at cost control price. So, I would definitely be interested in doing just that. All right, so pick a receiver. We talked about 5 of them here on today's show. If you want DeAndre Hopkins, type 1. If you want Stefon Diggs, type 2. Let's be honest, that one's not going to happen. But hey, if you want them. Darnell Mooney, type 3. If you want Mike Evans, type 4. Or if you want Brandon Aiyuk, type 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Let me know which receiver you would like to see in Kansas City. Hit that subscribe button here on the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. We continue to grow here on a daily basis, trying to get to 42,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Join the rocket ship, join the movement, trying to grow this channel as much as possible before the NFL draft. So appreciate the support. Hit that sub button.